Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the last class, we studied about the piston head, then about connecting rod, the various components in the connecting rod, the bearings, parts of connecting rod, and then the crankshaft, and we learned about a stroke and a complete revolution of a crankshaft makes two strokes of the piston. Then the uh, crankshaft manufacturing processes, parts of the crankshaft. Then we studied about the flywheel. Now let's study about some components that are present in the engine head. So one such component is the cam, preferably present inside the cam shaft. There is a shaft for the cam. Basically, a cam is a device. A cam is a device that changes the rotary motion of the camshaft into linear motion of the follower. So it is just the opposite what is happening in the engine. So what happens in the engine, the reciprocating or the linear motion of the piston is converted into the rotary motion of the crankshaft. That is what is done inside the engine or in the engine block. While a cam is a device that changes the rotary motion of the cam into a linear motion of a follower. The follower means it can be a valve that is shown here. This is a valve. So we'll be studying in detail about the valve. Then I will tell you how it works, the opening and closing of the valves. Okay. And a cam is a rotary mechanical device. You can see it is a circle, but it has a lobed portion. So what is a lobed portion? There is a peak point like this. So you can see here there is a lobe here. It is completely a circle here. You can see a circle here, and there is a lobe part. So this is what a cam is different. It is almost in the shape of an egg. It is in the shape of an egg. So how does the cam facilitates the opening of the and the closing of the valves? So when the valve, suppose this is the follower of the valve, this is a valve. So if this is the follower, when the cam rotates, when the follower surface touches this part of the cam, during this part of the cam, the follower remains in the down position till this rotation of the cam. So the cam rotates like this, it comes here, the peak comes here, here, and here. Till this point, the follower remains constant, that is in the downward position. And when the lobe reaches this point, so when it is rotating and reaching, you can see here, when it is rotating and reaching here, the follower starts moving. And when it comes to this point, that is its peak point or the lobe's peak point, the opening of the valve will be at its greatest. So that is the most extent up to which the valve can be opened. Such is the motion of the cam shown in the diagram. So next comes the camshaft. So we have learned what is a cam, and the camshaft is nothing but a shaft that is made up of numerous cams. So number of cams depends upon the number of valves present inside the engine. Number of valves present inside the engine. Mostly two camshafts are present inside the engine. That is one camshaft for the opening of the inlet valve and another camshaft entirely for exhaust valves. Basically, it is like that. And conventionally, before it is used as a single camshaft, wherein both the cams, that is for exhaust and inlet, the cams are provided in a single camshaft. Okay, it is a shaft itself. So the camshaft is mounted on a bearing in the lower part of the cylinder block. Mostly, inline engines. In some engines, it is placed on the cylinder head. So you can see here. So there is a camshaft here. This is the camshaft. So you can see the cam lobe here, another cam lobe here, and there are two camshafts here. And you can see where does the camshaft obtains the rotary motion from. It obtains from the crankshaft itself. So you can see here there is a chain linkage formed with the crankshaft. So the crankshaft here has a sprocket member. This is called a sprocket that you can see inside a bicycle liner. So bicycle we have seen there is a sprocket gear in the front and the sprocket gear in the back, and a chain linkages are formed between the sprockets. And while we pedal, due to the chain linkage, the wheel at the back turns and we get the momentum. In the same way, we are giving sprocket and chain linkage to the camshaft and the crankshaft. So when the crankshaft receives rotation from the engine, this power is then transferred to the camshaft and further rotates the camshaft. So the camshaft is placed in a separate manner. So you can see here. So here there is another difference. So you can see there is two inlet valves and two exhaust valves in one cylinder. Two inlet valves and two exhaust valves. So in that condition, we provide two camshafts. So you can see the camshaft lobes are facing in different ways. See here, one lobe is here, one lobe is here, one is entirely that place. So this is because at a particular time, different strokes are happening inside the engine. At a particular time, different strokes are being done inside the engine. So if one place there is suction stroke, other place maybe it will be compression, other cylinder it will be power stroke, and another one it will be exhaust stroke. It depends. There is something called a firing order. I will explain it later. So for that purpose, all the time the valves will not be opening. So depending upon the stroke, the valves have to be opened. For that purpose, the cams are kept in this particular position when the manufacturer sets the engine. So while manufacturing, the cams are kept at a specific position so as to facilitate the opening of inlet and exhaust valve accordingly. So the inlet valve has to only open during suction stroke and has to close before the start of compression. Before the start of compression, and exhaust valve has to open at the end of power stroke and has to close before suction stroke. Has to close before suction stroke. So at that time only we need the lobe part to reach the valve head. So once the lobe reaches the valve head, the valve will open. Once the lobe passes away, due to the spring present here, the valve will retain its original position, that is the closed position. Okay, that is how the camshaft works. A camshaft has several cams along with the length. So in its length, there will be several cams arranged like this. Two cams for each cylinder, one to move the inlet valve and other to operate the exhaust valve. This is for a conventional engine where a single camshaft is provided, and for controlling the opening of two valves, one for the inlet and one for the exhaust. So in cylinders where it has only two valves, but in modern cases there are about four valves, that is two inlet valves and two exhaust valves. So for that purpose there will be two camshafts present inside the engine. Then parts of the camshaft. So this is a basic schematic diagram of a camshaft. So these are the cams present inside the engine and in the camshaft, and this is the lobe portion. So that is why it is shown in a bigger manner when you look at here. So there is the lobe position of the cam. Then there is something called as cam bearing journals. Cam bearing journals. So the bearings are provided here. Okay, bearings are provided here, but the cam bearing journals are these 2 points. So these are the journals are in nothing but the parts that are responsible for holding the shaft in place. So in a crankshaft we had main bearing journals, So these are responsible for holding the crankshaft in that position, or the crankshaft will rotate and fall out of the engine. So that should not happen. For that, journals are provided. In the same way, camshaft also has cam bearing journals. So cam bearing journals are present here at these 2 points. Next, we have bearing shells. So after the journals, we also provide bearings here. Okay. So the function of the bearing I have previously mentioned. The bearings are provided for the smooth moving and also wearing out, wearing out itself and protecting the camshaft or crankshaft, anything. To protect the component, we use bearings. Also for the fluidic movement of the particular component. So here we are using for the movement of a camshaft and also to prevent its wearing out. So for that, bearing shells are provided at 2 points, and commonly used bearings are these types of bearings. This is a roller bearing, wherein this roll will keep on rolling and provide the necessary movement or the smooth movement of the camshaft. And also this is also lubricated. There will be holes and sufficient this in the bearing journals, and this will be lubricated to give no friction rotation. Okay. Then comes the lobes. The lobes are present inside the cams. Cam lobes are there. Then the thrust plate. So what is this thrust plate? Thrust plate and woodruff key. There are two components. Both are used for. So this is a thrust plate. This is the woodruff key. Camshaft in the horizontal axis. So the camshaft should not move this side and this side. So once the thrust plate is here, it will not move here. And also when you are providing a woodruff key, this is a woodruff key here. This is a woodruff key. Once this is connected, the shaft is connected to this woodruff key, this camshaft will never move this way. It is locked there. But it is free to move in rotation. But it will not move in the horizontal axis. That is, this way motion is not there. This is a reciprocating motion or a linear motion, and this will not happen, while the rotary motion of the camshaft will take place. So thrust plate and woodruff key ensure that the camshaft does not move in the horizontal axis. Then the chain sprocket. I have told you about this sprocket. The sprocket is same as that of the gear shown in the bicycles. So such a chain sprocket is provided here, wherein a chain is lying inside the camshaft. So you can see the chain, and this is the sprocket. This is a sprocket. This is a double sprocket, so there is a double chain. Okay, there are two chains here, so it's a double sprocket gear that is shown there. So these are the parts of the camshaft. Next, camshaft working. So if you notice here, you can see that the camshaft sprocket is 2 times greater than the sprocket present inside the crankshaft. So you can, by looking, you can't say it is 2 times, but it's normally 2 times greater than the sprocket. Okay, sprocket of the crankshaft. So the crankshaft has a small sprocket, while camshaft has a bigger sprocket. In case of instead of sprocket, gears are also used. Okay, gears are also used. This is a gear. So either a sprocket or a gear can be used. Gears are used when there is direct connection between the engine and the camshaft. So it can touch each other. The gears can touch each other, and when they are meshed together, meshing is nothing but the closing up or the joining of two gears. That is called the meshing of the gears. So when the gears are in meshed condition, the gears can rotate each other. So when there is a requirement of large distance power transmission, we use a sprocket and a chain arrangement. When there is a small distance power transmission, we use gears. So what I mean by that is, so here you can see that between the crankshaft and camshaft, there is sufficient distance. So since distance is a matter here, we use chain and sprocket arrangement. If suppose the crankshaft and camshaft are in contact with each other, okay, if suppose they are in contact with each other, we can use both, we can use gears here. Instead of sprockets, we can use gears here, and they can be meshed with each other. This is only possible in smaller engines. In modern engines, bigger engines are present, so we directly use two camshafts that is driven by sprocket chain arrangement. So if you don't have that and you have a smaller engine, they come in mesh with each other. So two gears will be present, and that gears will come into mesh with each other. So this is the meshing process here. This is meshed here. So these are gears. Okay. So when gears are present, you can look at the figure here. The crankshaft gear will be smaller than camshaft. More specifically, camshaft gear will be 2 times greater than crankshaft gear. Or in the case of a sprocket also, it is the same thing. The crankshaft, it will be 2 times more that of the crankshaft sprocket. In case of sprocket also, it will be 2 times greater. The camshaft sprocket will be 2 times greater than that of the sprocket in crankshaft. So when it is meshed with each other, you can see there is 2 lines here. So you can see 2 marks. This is called the camshaft gear mark, and this is also called the crankshaft gear mark. So when we go to a workshop or a service center, once they disassemble an engine, after setting it back, we don't know the timing that is set by the company or the manufacturer at the making of the vehicle. So once they set that position, we don't know how to set it back. So for setting this back, we have what is called a camshaft gear mark and a crankshaft gear mark. They will be in a single line. They must coincide with the center of the shaft. See, this is how they coincide. So it will be a single line. So once they are in single line, then they will be in mesh and also function as per the requirement of the engine. So they have to be in mesh like this and in a coincident angle. So you can see it here also. In sprocket case also, there is a line here. If you are disassembling an engine, you will know that, and if you go to a lab and all, you can see this. There will be 2 timing marks. This is called a timing mark. So why the timing marks is provided is that the valves must be opened at the specific time during, more specifically during intake stroke and also during the exhaust stroke. To facilitate that moment, these timing marks are provided so that there will be no difference when setting it back. Okay, this is the purpose of timing marks. So what is the difference here? Due to the different gear size, for 1 revolution of the crank, there will be twice revolution of the camshaft. So once the crankshaft rotates completely, that will be 2 strokes. Okay, that will be 2 strokes. only half rotation of the camshaft takes place. Camshaft rotates 1/2. Okay, while the rest of the other half of rotation will be obtained in another revolution of the crank. This is because the camshaft gear or the sprocket is 2 times that of the crankshaft. The crankshaft has to rotate twice to give one full rotation of the camshaft. So why it is provided like that? So in a 4-stroke engine, the crankshaft has to rotate twice, and we have learned about that. One stroke means half rotation of the crankshaft, another stroke means another half. So like that 4 strokes are there. So 4 into 0.5 is what is 2 rotation. That is 4 into 1/2, that is 2 rotation of the crankshaft. So the crankshaft has to rotate 2 times for 4 strokes, and if it rotates 2 times, the camshaft will rotate 1 time only. So why does the camshaft rotate 1 time? So in 1 time rotation, what do you have? For 4 strokes, we have the opening of inlet valve and the opening of exhaust valve, and these two occurs at the first and the last stroke. The first stroke is the suction stroke, and the last stroke is the exhaust stroke. That is a 4-stroke. So at the first and the 4th stroke, only the valve opening should be done. So for that purpose, when the crankshaft rotates twice, the camshaft only rotates 1. So that is the 1 cycle of an engine. So during the 1 cycle of the engine, the camshaft only rotates once. For the next cycle, it rotates again once more. Okay. For that, the crankshaft has to rotate twice. So that is what is written here. Camshaft is operated by crankshaft either by a pair of meshing gears or timing gears, or a pair of timing sprockets. So it will be sprockets or meshing gears. Then the camshaft gear or sprocket has twice as many teeth as gear or sprocket of the crankshaft. So there will be twice the amount of teeth, or the gear will be in twice the size as that of the crankshaft. This gives a 1/2 ratio, and the camshaft rotates at half the speed of the crankshaft. So once the crankshaft rotates in 1 full revolution, the camshaft only rotates half its full rotation. Half its full rotation. So therefore, every 2 revolution of the crankshaft creates 1 revolution of the camshaft and 1 opening and closing of each valve in the 4-cylinder engine. So this is the function here. 2 revolution of the crankshaft takes place, then only 1 revolution of the camshaft will take place, wherein 1 opening and closing of each valve, that is 1 exhaust valve and 1 inlet valve, only takes place during 1 revolution of the camshaft. Okay, next, the camshaft is made up of a solid material to give its rigidity, same as that of a crankshaft, but it must not be that hard as that of a crankshaft due to lower loads obtained at the camshaft. So crankshaft has huge loads due to the pressures generated inside the engine, but the camshaft does not face such huge pressures, but it should have sufficient strength so as to press the valve. So you can see the lobe has to come and touch and compress the valve or the spring provided here. The spring has sufficient tension, so it cannot be compressed so easily. So you can understand that when you disassemble an engine, and if you try to when you disassemble the spring, and if you try to compress it by hand, it will not compress as easily, because huge force is required to compress it. So such huge forces has to be provided by the camshaft for opening of the valve. So sufficient strength or rigidity must be there for the camshaft. So it is manufactured by forging and casting, I have told you before, for the crankshaft procedure, or by machining on a lathe. If you take a single shaft and machine it on a lathe, so you will be cutting it into shape of a camshaft and the cam lock. This is more time consuming, so forging and the casting will be done. Camshafts are usually made of cast iron as it gives more strength. So to give it more strength, and cast iron has a good wear resistance. So wear resistance of the cast iron is greater. Hence, cast irons are used in camshafts. Okay. Due to its rigidity, strength, and wear resistance, cast irons are used in camshaft. So you can see how the cam works here. So this is a suction stroke, the inlet valve moves. This is the exhaust stroke, so the exhaust valve opens. Okay, inlet valve, exhaust valve. Here also same, inlet valve, exhaust valve. So you can see here itself you can see each cylinder, the movement is different. Here there is similar movement here, but the stroke will be different. It will be compression or power stroke. It will be different. So you can look at the strokes here. Okay, this is the main function of the camshaft. Next comes the valves. So what are valves? Valves are nothing but components that are used to allow or restrict the flow of fluid to and from the combustion chambers during engine operation. To and from. So where it is to comes when inlet valve opens and the exhaust products has to be emitted out when the exhaust valve opens. So valve is nothing but it is used to restrict the flow of fluid, that is air. Fluid is nothing but that is gas or liquid, both. So valve's general definition is that it is a mechanical component that is used to allow or restrict the flow of fluid to and from the combustion chamber. That is the purpose of a valve. In an engine, there are two valves, basically two valves, that is inlet and exhaust valve. In modern engines, there are two inlet and exhaust valve. It depends. Okay. So this is a valve. So you can see here there is so many valves here. You can see there are two different sizes of valves, one small one, one big one, and all. And when you go to the parts of a valve, so this is a valve here, and the valve has a valve tip that is present here. Then there is a keeper groove. This groove is provided so that the valve is in-seated or locked inside the spring. So you can only see that when you disassemble the engine. I will later show you a video about that, about engine head, engine block, and sufficient videos about that. At that time, you can see how the valve is disassembled or how the valve is assembled inside the engine. So the keeper groove is provided for locking the valve in place. Then comes the valve stem and valve head. So these are the basic three parts: the valve tip, stem, and the head. Then there is a region here called fillet, then seat face, margin, and combustion face. So the combustion face is the valve face is this portion that is in contact with the combustion chamber. So when explosion and all occurs, the valve face comes into contact with the cylinder or the combustion chamber. The seat face is provided so that the valve during closing, the valve seats in that position accurately and seals the combustion chamber inside. So for that purpose, the seat face is provided to seal the combustion chamber and for the proper seating of the valve. I will show you a figure about that. So you can see here, the valve seat is there. In the same way, in the cylinder, there is a seat like this. So you can see here, see, this is this valve seat provided inside the cylinder. There is another one here. You can see that. So in like that, a small inclination is provided inside the engine head. Also, a valve seat is provided in the valve. So once the valve goes and sits in this position, this part will coincide with this part. This will sit in this part. So this will allow for maximum locking or sealing of the cylinder. So once it is sitting here, you can see that there is no gap here for the air or the combustion products to escape. It can only escape and enter during the opening of the valves. For this purpose only, such an arrangement is provided inside the valve. Okay. So basically there are three types of valves: poppet valve, sleeve valve, rotary valve. In that, poppet valve is the most famous valve and most commonly used. And this is a poppet valve. These are also known as mushroom valves due to its mushroom-like shape. And coming to its working, you can see that two valves, inlet valve, exhaust valve, and the camshaft is rotating here, and the cam lobe is present there. Cam lobe is present, and once the lobe touches here, the valve opens and it closes when the lobe is moving further away from the valve. So this is the inlet valve and this is the exhaust valve. You can see how it is working here. There is a spring here. Once the lobe touches this follower or the tappet there, this is called a tappet. And once the lobe touches here, the spring is compressed, a compressive force comes into contact, and the valve is pushed. Okay, there is a locking mechanism inside this here. So, due to that locking position with the spring, when the lobe moves here, the valve is moved forward and the spring is compressed due to this locking mechanism that I will show you in the video. Then, so what's the mixer in the cylinder? The cam continues rotation. For intake valves, this allows the air-fuel mixer to enter into the cylinder when the valve opens. And once the mixer is in the cylinder, the cam continues to rotate and intake valve closes and combustion occurs. So that is a suction stroke. And following combustion, after the combustion, during the exhaust stroke, the cam opens and exhaust valve is opened, allowing the spent gases to escape outside. And once all the spent gases have left the cylinder cam, the cylinder cam rotates further and exhaust valve closes. And after the cam rotates again, the exhaust valve remains in its previous position. Okay, I will wind up the class for today. Next, I'll take the attendance.